The morning sky over New York City changed forever at 8:47 a.m. On March 15th, 2157, Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his coffee aboard the Earth Defense Force ship Aurora when the alarm started screaming. His hands shook as he set down the cup and ran to the bridge. "What's happening?" Jake asked his tactical officer, Amy Rodriguez. Amy's face was pale as she stared at her screens. "Sir, we have massive contacts dropping out of hyperspace. They're huge, bigger than anything we've ever seen." Jake looked at the main display and felt his heart stop. Enormous ships, each one the size of a city, hung in space above Earth like dark clouds. There were dozens of them. Their black hulls reflected no light, making them look like holes cut from reality itself. "Are they responding to our signals?" Jake asked. "No, sir. They're just sitting there." The silence lasted exactly 10 minutes, and the ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy lanced down from space, striking Earth's orbital defense platforms. The platforms that had protected Earth for 50 years exploded like fireworks. Jake watched helplessly as billions of dollars of equipment turned to floating debris. "All ships, this is Admiral Blake on the command station," a voice crackled. "Over the radio, we are under attack by unknown forces. All vessels move to intercept." Jake gripped his command chair. "Amy, target the nearest ship and fire everything we have." The Aurora's weapons blazed to life. Missiles streaked through space toward the alien vessel. Energy beams followed close behind. Jake held his breath, waiting to see their enemy hurt. Weapons struck the alien ship's hull and did nothing. Not even a scratch appeared on the dark metal. "Sir," Amy whispered, "our weapons aren't working." More human ships joined the fight. The entire Earth Defense Force threw everything they had at the invaders. Hundreds of missiles, thousands of energy beams, even nuclear warheads. Nothing worked. The alien ships absorbed the attacks like they were raindrops. Then the aliens began shooting back. Their weapons were different from anything humans had seen. Purple beams that seemed to bend space itself cut through human ships like they were made of paper. The Defense Force ship Manhattan exploded so completely that not even debris remained. "They're slaughtering us," Amy said, her voice cracking. Jake watched 20 more human ships die in as many seconds. "All ships retreat. Fall back to Earth." But the aliens weren't finished. Their massive ships moved closer to Earth and began bombing the cities. Jake watched in horror as beams of energy struck London. Buildings older than America turned to dust. In seconds, millions of people lived in that city. "Tokyo is under attack," Amy reported. "They're hitting all the major cities at once." The alien ships moved with terrible purpose. They weren't trying to destroy Earth completely. They wanted to break human will to fight. They wanted surrender. A new voice came over the radio. It spoke English, but the words sounded wrong, like a machine was trying to copy human speech. "People of Earth, you have been chosen to serve the Zephyrian Empire. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your defenses have failed. Surrender now, and you will be allowed to live as our servants. Resist, and you will be destroyed." Jake felt rage building in his chest. "Like hell we will." Far below on Earth's surface, in a secret facility buried deep under the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Ben Carter was working frantically in his laboratory. He had been waiting for this day for 5 years, ever since a small alien scout ship had crashed in the desert outside Las Vegas. "Lisa, are the quantum rifles ready?" Ben asked his partner, Dr. Lisa Harper. Lisa looked worried as she checked her instruments. "The theory is sound, but we've never tested them against real alien technology. These weapons could be just as useless as everything else, or they could save the human race," Ben replied. He picked up one of the strange-looking rifles. It hummed, with energy that made his teeth ache. We built these based on alien technology. If anything can hurt them, it's this. The quantum rifles worked by changing the way matter behaved at the smallest level. Instead of trying to break through alien armor, they would make the armor forget how to be solid. Ben hoped out above ground, the bombing continued. The aliens landed troops in every major city. Tall, gray creatures in powered armor marched through the streets. They moved like they had done this 1,000 times before. Their weapons killed humans with single shots, while human bullets bounced off their armor. President Helen Blake was trapped in her bunker beneath Washington, D.C. The capital city burned above her head. She had been in office for 3 years, and never imagined facing something like this. "Madam President," her aide said, "Dr. Carter is requesting permission to deploy his experimental weapons." Helen had read the reports about Carter's work. The weapons were untested and potentially dangerous to human operators. But conventional weapons were completely useless. "Do it," she said. "Give Carter whatever he needs." In Chicago, Commander Rick Torres was leading the defense of the city when the order came through. His Marines were fighting a hopeless battle against alien ground troops. Human weapons might as well have been toys. "Sir," his radio operator called, "we're getting supply drops, new weapons." Rick looked up to see parachutes falling from the sky. Military transports dropped crates throughout the city. Rick's men opened the nearest crate and found rifles unlike anything they had ever seen. The weapons looked almost alien themselves, with crystal components that glowed with inner light. "Lock and load, Marines," Rick called. "Let's see what these babies can do." The first alien patrol rounded the corner expecting another easy fight. They had been conquering worlds for centuries. Humans were just another primitive species to be enslaved. Rick aimed his quantum rifle at the lead alien and pulled the trigger. A beam of twisted light struck the creature. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien's armor began to phase in and out of existence. The creature inside screamed as its protection simply stopped working. A second shot from Rick's rifle ended its suffering. "They work," Rick shouted. "The new weapons work." Word spread quickly through the human resistance. The quantum rifles could hurt the invaders. For the first time since the attack began, humans had hope, but the aliens had been expecting easy victory. Their commander, a massive creature called War Leader Thane, had conquered 14 worlds without serious resistance. He could not understand why these humans continued fighting after their defenses fell. "Bring more ships," Thane ordered his communications officer. "These creatures are more stubborn than expected." The Zephyrian Empire had plenty of ships. What they didn't know was that humans fight differently than other species. When other races lost their capitals, they surrendered. When humans lost their capitals, they kept fighting from every city, every town, every basement and cave. Captain Jake Morrison watched from space as the battle for Earth began in earnest. The aliens had superior technology and numbers, but they had never faced humans before, and humans had a few surprises left. 3 months had passed since the aliens first attacked Earth. The Zephyrian forces controlled most of the major cities, but their easy conquest had turned into a nightmare. Every day brought new attacks from human resistance fighters who seemed to appear from nowhere and disappear just as quickly. Captain Jake Morrison crouched in the ruins of what used to be a shopping mall outside Denver. His ship Aurora had been destroyed in the second week of fighting, but Jake had survived. Now, he led one of the largest resistance cells in North America. His small army of survivors lived in underground tunnels and abandoned buildings. "Don, do you have contact with the other groups?" Jake asked his communications officer, Sergeant Dan Phillips. Dan adjusted the strange alien radio they had captured. "Last week, yes, sir. General Stone's people in Texas just hit another supply convoy. The group in Seattle took out an alien patrol. Everyone's using the quantum rifles now. Jake smiled grimly. Dr. Carter's weapons had changed everything. The aliens were no longer invincible. They could be hurt, and they could die. That knowledge spread through the human resistance like wildfire. But the aliens were learning too. They had stopped sending small patrols and now moved in large groups. Their supply convoys traveled with heavy escorts. They were adapting to human tactics, just as humans had adapted to their technology. In a hidden bunker beneath the ruins of Detroit, General Marcus Stone studied maps covered with red marks. Each mark showed where his people had struck the aliens. There were hundreds of them. The problem is supplies, Stone told his aide. We're running low on ammunition for the quantum rifles. Dr. Carter's people can't make them fast enough. Stone had been a Marine general before the invasion. Now he commanded a ragtag army of soldiers, police officers, and ordinary citizens who refused to surrender. They called themselves the Free Earth Army, and they were making the aliens pay for every city block they controlled. Sir, his aide said, we just got word from the group in Phoenix. They captured an alien depot. Lots of equipment. Good. What kind of equipment? They're not sure. It's all alien tech, but Dr. Harper thinks she can figure out how it works. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Ben Carter worked around the clock in his laboratory. The facility had grown enormously since the invasion began. Refugees with technical skills had found their way to the hidden base, and Carter now had a team of 50 scientists working on captured alien technology. The power systems are incredible, Dr. Lisa Harper said as she examined a piece of alien equipment. They're using quantum energy in ways we never imagined. If we could understand this fully, we could build weapons that make our rifles look like toys. Carter nodded as he worked on something even more important. Look at this communication array we captured last week. The aliens don't just use radio waves. They use quantum signals that travel faster than light. What does that mean? Asked Kate Wilson, an engineer who had joined them after her city was bombed. It means every alien ship and base is connected by an invisible network, Carter explained. They share information instantly across vast distances. But here's the interesting part. If we could get into that network, we might be able to do more than just listen to their messages. Lisa understood immediately. You want to create a virus, something that could spread through their quantum network. Exactly. But we'd need to physically connect to their main communication hub. That means getting aboard their command ship. Far above Earth, War Leader Thane paced angrily in his command center. The conquest of Earth should have been finished months ago. Instead, his forces were trapped in a grinding war against creatures that refused to accept defeat. How many ships? Did we lose today? Thane asked his aide. 3 transport vessels and a patrol craft. The humans used those phase weapons again. Thane's massive fists clenched. The humans had somehow developed weapons that could penetrate Zephyrian armor. No other species had ever managed such a thing. Call for reinforcements. Bring the second fleet. Sir, that will take months. The second fleet is engaged in the Centauri campaign. Then tell them to finish quickly and come here. These humans are more dangerous than we thought. What Thane didn't know was that Human Intelligence Officer Alex Turner had been listening to every word. Turner worked for a secret group that had learned to decode alien communications. He immediately sent a coded message to resistance cells around the world. This is Watchdog, Turner's message said. Big Fish is calling for help. Expect company. In 6 months, President Helen Blake received the message in her bunker beneath Colorado. The news was both good and bad. Good because it meant the aliens were struggling. Bad because Earth would soon face an even larger enemy force. How many? Ships in their second fleet? Blake asked her intelligence chief. Best guess? 3 times what they brought the first time. Maybe more. Blake felt cold fear in her stomach. Humanity had barely survived the first invasion. 3 times as many alien ships would mean the end of human resistance, unless they could find a way. To stop the reinforcements from arriving, Major Susan Davis led her Special Forces team through the sewers beneath Los Angeles. The aliens controlled the city above, but they hadn't bothered to secure the underground tunnels. That was a mistake. "Target is 2 blocks ahead," Davis whispered to her team. "Alien communication station. We go in fast and hard." Davis had been a Navy SEAL before the invasion. Now she commanded a unit of special operations soldiers whose job was to capture alien technology intact. They had hit dozens of targets, always disappearing before the aliens could respond in force. "Remember," Davis said, "we need their equipment undamaged. Dr. Carter thinks their communication arrays might be the key to stopping the next wave of ships." The attack lasted exactly 3 minutes. Davis's team moved like ghosts, using quantum rifles to punch through alien defenses. They grabbed everything that looked important and vanished back into the tunnels before enemy reinforcements arrived. Back in his mountain laboratory, Dr. Carter examined the captured equipment with growing excitement. "This is it," he told Dr. Harper. "This is their main communication processor. If we can crack the quantum encryption, we might be able to do more than just send a virus." "What do you mean?" Harper asked. "I mean, we might be able to create a trap. Something that doesn't just attack their ships, but prevents them from ever going home." Carter's plan was ambitious and dangerous. He wanted to use the aliens' own quantum communication network to create a hyperspace disruption. When the reinforcement fleet arrived, they would find their exit route cut off. They would be trapped in Earth's solar system with no way to retreat. "The theory is sound," Harper admitted, "but we'd need to time it perfectly. And we'd need to get this virus into their command ship's main computer. That's where Jake Morrison." "Comey's in," Carter said. "His resistance cell is the best we have. If anyone can board an alien command ship, it's them." 2 weeks later, Jake received his new orders. The mission was simple in concept, but nearly impossible to execute. His team would have to fight their way aboard the alien flagship, plant Carter's virus in their main computer, and get out alive. "It's a suicide mission," Sergeant Phillips said when Jake explained the plan. "Maybe," Jake replied. "But if we don't try, Earth dies anyway when those reinforcements arrive." Jake looked around at his team of survivors. They were tired, hungry, and outnumbered, but they were still fighting. They were still human. "We've got 6 months to prepare," Jake said. "Let's make them count." Above them, alien ships continued their patrols, unaware that the humans were planning something that would change the war forever. The trap was being set, and the aliens had no idea they were walking into it. 6 months and 2 days after the first invasion, the skies above Earth filled with alien ships once again. The Zephyrian Second Fleet had arrived, and it was massive. War Leader Thane watched from his command ship as hundreds of vessels dropped. Out of hyperspace, he smiled for the first time in months. "Finally," Thane said to his communications officer, "with this many ships, we can crush these stubborn humans once and for all." But Admiral Paul Jensen was watching too. Jensen had taken command of what remained of Earth's space forces after the original fleet was destroyed. His ships were few in number, but they were no longer the same vessels that had fought 6 months ago. Human engineers had rebuilt them, using captured alien technology. "All ships, this is Admiral Jensen," he said into his radio. "Operation Backdoor is now active. Dr. Carter, are you ready?" Deep in his mountain laboratory, Dr. Carter's fingers flew over the controls of the most complex machine ever built by human hands. The quantum virus was loaded and ready. 6 months of captured alien technology had gone into creating this moment. "Ready, Admiral," Carter replied. The trap is set. We just need someone to spring it. That someone was Captain Jake Morrison. Jake and his team of 20 volunteers were already aboard a captured alien transport ship heading toward the enemy flagship. They had been preparing for this mission for months, learning to use alien equipment and studying the layout of Zephyrian command vessels. Don, are you picking up their internal communications? Jake asked Sergeant Phillips. Yes, sir. They're excited about the reinforcements. They think the war is over. Jake checked his quantum rifle one more time. His team carried the most advanced human weapons ever made, plus alien explosives they had learned to build from captured materials. Let's show them how wrong they are. The alien flagship was enormous, larger than any human city. Its name translated to Endless Victory in the Korais Zephyrian language. Jake's transport ship approached the docking bay, broadcasting false identification codes that Alex Turner's intelligence team had provided. This is Supply Transport Zeta-7 requesting permission to dock, Jake said in the alien language he had spent months learning. Permission granted, came the reply. Proceed to Bay 15. Jake's ship landed inside the massive alien vessel. Through the windows, he could see hundreds of alien crew members moving about their duties. None of them suspected that 20 humans had just entered their most important ship. Remember the plan, Jake whispered to his team. We have 30 minutes to reach the command center, plant the virus, and get out. If we're not back to the ship by then, Admiral Jensen proceeds without us. On Earth's surface, the Resistance was fighting its largest battle yet. General Stone's forces had emerged from hiding all across the planet. They attacked alien-controlled cities simultaneously, drawing enemy attention away from space in ruin. New York, Commander Rick Torres led his Marines in a desperate assault on the alien command post. His quantum rifles blazed as they cut through enemy defensive positions. Keep pushing, Torres shouted over the sound of weapons fire. We need to keep them busy down here. The aliens were confused by the coordinated attacks. For months, the humans had fought using hit-and-run tactics. Now they were fighting openly, accepting heavy casualties to tie down alien ground forces. Aboard the Endless Victory, Jake's team moved through the ship's corridors like shadows. They had studied captured ship blueprints for weeks and knew exactly where to go. The alien crew was busy preparing for the final assault on Earth and paid little attention to what appeared to be routine maintenance workers. We're getting close to the command center, Jake whispered into his radio. Dr. Carter, are you monitoring? I'm here, Jake. The quantum virus is ready to upload as soon as you reach their main computer. Jake's team reached a heavily guarded section of the ship. 2 massive alien warriors stood at the entrance to the command center, armed with weapons that could cut a human in half. Jake signaled to his team. The attack was swift and silent. Quantum rifles phased through alien armor. As if it weren't there, the guards died before they could raise an alarm. Jake's team pushed deeper into the ship's nerve center. The command center was a vast room, filled with holographic displays and alien technology. Dozens of crew members worked at control stations, coordinating the Second Fleet's operations. In the center of it all stood War Leader Thane himself. Now, Jake whispered. His team opened fire simultaneously. Quantum weapons lit up the command center as alien officers fell. Thane roared in rage and reached for his personal weapon, but Sergeant Phillips put 3 shots in his chest. The War Leader, conqueror of 14 worlds, collapsed to the deck. Computer. Core is this way, Jake called out, running toward a massive crystalline structure in the center of the room. He plugged Dr. Carter's device into the alien system. Upload starting. Carter's voice crackled through the radio. 60 seconds until completion. But the aliens had recovered from their surprise. Alarms began screaming throughout the ship. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridors as enemy soldiers rushed toward the command center. "They're coming," Phillips reported, watching the entrance. "Lots of them." Jake's team formed a defensive circle around the computer core. Alien soldiers poured through the doorways, firing energy weapons that turned the air itself into deadly plasma. 2 humans fell in the first seconds of the fight. 40 seconds, Carter announced. Jake's quantum rifle overheated from constant firing. He switched to captured alien weapons, which felt clumsy in his human hands, but still killed effectively. Around him, his team fought with the desperation of people who knew they were humanity's last hope. 20 seconds. More aliens arrived, including some wearing heavy combat armor that could withstand quantum rifle shots. Jake watched 3 more of his people die as the enemy pressed closer to the computer core. 10 seconds. Jake himself took a plasma blast to the shoulder that spun him around and dropped him to his knees. Pain shot through his entire body, but he kept firing. "Upload complete," Carter's voice shouted through the radio. "Get out of there." But Jake looked around and realized the truth. Half his team was dead. The survivors were surrounded by dozens of alien soldiers. They weren't getting out. "This is Morrison," Jake said into his radio. "Mission accomplished. Proceed with the plan." Admiral Jensen heard the transmission from his flagship and felt his heart break. Jake Morrison had been a friend for 20 years, but there was no time to mourn. "Dr. Carter, activate the quantum disruption field." "Activating now," Carter replied. Across space, the quantum virus began spreading through the Zephyrian communication network. It moved from ship to ship faster than thought itself, carrying Dr. Carter's deadly payload. The virus had 2 purposes: disable alien faster-than-light drives and create an unstable hyperspace corridor. The first effects were immediate. Alien ships throughout the fleet suddenly lost their ability to escape to hyperspace. They were trapped in Earth's solar system. The second effect took longer, but was far more devastating. Behind the alien fleet, the space-time fabric began to ripple and tear. The hyperspace corridor they had used to reach Earth was collapsing. "What's happening?" An alien officer shouted on the bridge of another ship. "We've lost hyperspace capability." Their captain looked at his instruments in growing horror. "The corridor home is closing. If we don't leave now, we'll be trapped here forever." But they couldn't leave. A virus had spread too far and worked too well. Every ship in the Zephyrian Second Fleet was stranded, cut off from their empire, and facing an increasingly confident human resistance. On the surface of Earth, the tide of battle was turning. Human forces equipped with quantum weapons were pushing the aliens back in every major city. In space, Admiral Jensen's hybrid fleet of human and captured alien ships moved to attack the stranded enemy vessels. The trap had worked perfectly. The aliens who came to finish conquering Earth found themselves cut off from home, facing a species that had learned to use their own technology against them. Jake Morrison died fighting in the command center of the Endless Victory, but his sacrifice had doomed an entire alien fleet. The hunters had become the hunted, and there was no way home. 1 year after the first alien ship appeared in Earth's sky, Admiral Paul Jensen stood on the bridge of his flagship, New Aurora, and watched the last Zephyrian stronghold fall. The aliens had tried to establish a base on Mars, thinking the red planet would be easier to defend than Earth. They were wrong. "Sir, the alien commander is requesting to speak with you," his communications officer reported. Jensen nodded. "Put him through." The holographic display showed a tall, gray alien in damaged armor. His name was Sub-Commander Vex, and he was the highest-ranking Zephyrian still alive. Most of the alien leadership had died in the past year of fighting. "Admiral Jensen," Vex said in heavily accented English, "my forces surrender unconditionally. We request terms." Jensen had been waiting for this moment. The terms are simple. You will share all your technology with us. You will help repair the damage your people caused to Earth, and you will accept integration into Earth's society under human law. Vex's alien features showed surprise. You are not going to execute us? That depends on you, Jensen replied. Cooperate and live. Fight and die. Your choice. It was a choice that divided the remaining aliens. Some, like Vex, chose to surrender and work with their former enemies. Others chose to fight to the death rather than serve under humans they had once tried to enslave. On the surface of Mars, Commander Rick Torres led the final assault on the alien base. His Marines had learned to fight in the thin Martian atmosphere using a combination of human tactics and captured alien technology. The aliens still had superior individual weapons, but humans had superior teamwork. Delta Squad hit them from the left, Torres ordered. Charlie Squad suppressing fire on the main bunker. The battle was fierce but brief. The aliens fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and cut off from reinforcement. When the shooting stopped, Torres found himself standing in the command center of what had once been the most feared military force in this part of the galaxy. Sir, one of his Marines called out, we found their databanks. Looks like star charts and intelligence on other alien species. Torres smiled. That information would be very valuable to Earth's growing fleet. Back on Earth, Dr. Ben Carter worked in a laboratory that had grown into a small city. The hidden facility in the Rocky Mountains now housed thousands of scientists, engineers, and technicians from around the world. They were reverse engineering every piece of alien technology they could find. The hyperdrive modifications are working perfectly, Dr. Lisa Harper reported. Our ships can now travel faster than any Zephyrian vessel. Carter nodded as he examined a new type of quantum weapon. Good, but speed isn't our only advantage. We've learned to be more creative with their technology than they ever were. The difference was simple. The Zephyrians had used their technology to conquer and destroy. Humans used the same technology to explore and defend. The quantum networks that once carried orders for planetary bombardment now carried messages of friendship to other worlds. Engineer Kate Wilson had been working on the most ambitious project of all. She stood in a massive construction bay, watching human and alien workers collaborate on building Earth's first interstellar exploration ship. It's beautiful, said Alex Turner, the intelligence officer who had helped coordinate the resistance during the war. Wilson nodded. The aliens built ships to carry armies. We're building ships to carry hope. The new vessel combined the best of human and Zephyrian technology. It had quantum drives that could cross the galaxy in weeks, weapons that could defend against any known threat, and sensors that could detect life from light years away. But most importantly, it carried a message of peace. President Helen Blake stood before the United Nations Assembly, which now included representatives from 6 different species. The Zephyrian Empire had controlled dozens of worlds, but when their fleet disappeared, many colonies had declared independence. Today marks the first anniversary of the end of the war, Blake announced. But more importantly, it marks the beginning of something new. The Galactic Freedom Alliance. The alliance was growing rapidly. Former Zephyrian colonies that had lived under oppression for generations were eager to join, a confederation based on freedom rather than conquest. Earth had become the center of a movement that was spreading across the galaxy. Major Susan Davis, now a general, commanded the integration camps where former aliens worked alongside humans. It had been difficult at first. Many humans wanted revenge for the destruction of their cities. Many aliens couldn't understand why they were being offered mercy instead of execution. The key, Davis explained to a group of visiting diplomats, is showing them that cooperation benefits everyone. Former enemies working together can achieve more than either side could alone. The proof was everywhere. Human creativity combined with alien technology had produced medical advances that could heal injuries thought permanent, agricultural techniques that could grow food in the worst conditions, energy systems that could power entire continents without pollution. In orbit around Earth, a massive construction project was taking shape. Admiral Jensen oversaw the building of Freedom Station, a space facility larger than any city. It would serve as headquarters for the Galactic Freedom Alliance and a symbol that the age of conquest was over. How many species have requested membership? Jensen asked his aide. 17 so far, Admiral. And we're getting reports of Zephyrian garrisons across the galaxy abandoning their posts. Their empire is collapsing from within, Jensen smiled. The aliens had come to Earth expecting to add another conquered world to their empire. Instead, they had triggered the destruction of that empire and the birth of something better. Dr. Carter made his final report to President Blake 1 year after the war ended. The quantum communication network is now fully under our control. We're in contact with resistance movements on 43 different worlds. The Zephyrian Empire won't survive another year. And our own expansion? Blake asked. The first exploration. Fleet launches next week. Admiral Morrison commands it. Blake raised an eyebrow. Morrison? I thought Jake Morrison died during the war. He did, Carter replied. This is his younger brother, Paul Morrison. Jake trained him personally before the final mission. Paul says he's going to finish what his brother started. A new Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, Jake Morrison, as it prepared for humanity's first journey to another star system. His mission was simple: find other species threatened by the remains of the Zephyrian Empire and offer them the same choice humanity had refused to accept. All stations report ready for hyperspace jump, his navigation officer announced. Morrison nodded. Take us out, Lieutenant. Let's go spread some freedom. The ship vanished into hyperspace, carrying humanity's message to the stars. Behind it, Earth continued to grow and prosper as the center of the new alliance. The planet that had once faced destruction was now the beacon of hope for an entire galaxy. In a small museum in the ruins of New York, a memorial stood to all those who had died in the war. At the center was a statue of Jake Morrison and his team with an inscription that read, "They came to conquer Earth, but learned why humanity had never been conquered." Visitors from dozens of worlds came to see the memorial and learn about the species that had turned certain defeat into galactic liberation. The aliens had attacked Earth seeking another easy victory. Instead, they discovered a species that refused to surrender, learned from every enemy, and turned conquest into cooperation. The Zephyrian Empire was gone, scattered to the winds of space. But the freedom it had tried to destroy was spreading faster than their ships had ever traveled, carried by the species they had failed to conquer. Earth's children now walked among the stars, and they carried with them the simple message that had defeated an empire: freedom is not negotiable.